Hello, and welcome to Insure Your Health. My name is Erin, and I work for Blackpoint Insurance. At Blackpoint, we help Medicare beneficiaries nationwide learn about the A, B, C's, and D's of Medicare, and we help agents and brokers learn to launch, grow, and retain their businesses. Insure Your Health is a broadcast that has really three components. Part of it is carriers who are coming on and doing spotlights of their very competitive benefit packages. We also have physician segments where premier physicians in the community come and talk about all the hot topics in healthcare today. And then the third component is when we bring on industry experts to tell us everything that's going on in Medicare. So whether you're a Medicare beneficiary or an agent who's trying to sell in a compliant manner, you've got the latest and greatest important information so you can do your job effectively. Today's guest, I am so excited to have her on. We have a true expert in the Medicare space. She's been in the industry as long as I have, and I've been 20 plus years. Her name is Shelley Segal, and Shelley owns her own business. It's the Segal Medicare Experts, and she's the CEO of the company. And they do an amazing job advising agents and carriers and field marketing organizations on everything to do with Medicare in a compliant manner. She's incredible. She's a wealth of knowledge, and there's never a better time to have Shelley on than today because going into this 2024 AEP, we have a lot of compliance concerns as we're out there in the marketplace trying to do the best job we can for every Medicare beneficiary. Questions around how do we read these disclaimers? How do we record our calls? And how we make sure that we're doing what we need to do in a compliant manner. So without further ado, I want to welcome my guest today. She's awesome, super kind, and great to have on the show. Welcome, everybody, Shelley Segal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, especially I know everybody's trying to get ready for the on your mark, get set, go, and education has started, but now we're getting close to Sunday the 15th where actual enrollment can happen. So it's exciting.
It's a zoo out there. It is very exciting. And we've got a lot of changes in the Medicare program this year, specific to the Part D prescription benefits. We're seeing a lot of drug plans with increased premiums, some changes in the program. So it's driving a lot of activity. And with that activity, Shelley, you can imagine that being compliant with all the new rules, we have that top of mind to make sure we're doing a good job. And essentially, we're not blowing it, right? We want to make sure we're doing right for the Medicare beneficiaries. We want to ensure we're selling in a compliant manner and really just doing the right thing, even when we're a little confused about what the right thing is, right? And so in comes you, Shelley. And the reason we wanted to have you on today is there's a lot of new regulations that are putting us into a challenging position to make sure we're complying. And so we're just excited to have you join us. Would you want to give us a highlight, Shelley, just a little bit about your background and what you're here to talk about today before we kind of introduce your presentation?
Sure, that would be great. As Erin said, we've been around for a very long time, although we don't look like we're agents.
Exactly.
I actually started on sales, going out and telemarketing and enrolling beneficiaries back in the days of FHP in California. So that was a lot of fun, going and telemarketing and enrolling beneficiaries. And the bottom line foundation there is what still is the same today, the intent of really making it easier for everybody to understand how to get the best benefits. Because essentially, we're all about your health care. If you don't have your health, it's crazy what everything else is. And so understanding it and making it easy back in the FHP days is the same thing I'm doing now. On a little bit different side, I'm helping with the whipped cream and cherry on the top of making sure we're compliant with everything we have to do. So it's exciting to be able to help people, and it's exciting to do it in a compliant manner.
Well, Shelley, your wealth of knowledge and your experience is tremendously appreciated. I'm so excited. Shelley is open for business in terms of helping people, FMOs, general agencies like my own, to help you be compliant. And if you're out there and you're wondering, here's the phone number for Shelley. I'll let her read it off to you in a moment. But if you're thinking, I need to be more compliant, I recently had this aha. Shelley and I've been friends for years, and she always helps me what I like to call pro bono. But she is really reasonable in terms of working for her if compliance is top of mind in your organization, like it is in mine. And I recently contracted with Segal Medicare Experts, and I highly recommend if you own an agency of any size that you would do something similar. And Shelley's one of those rare unicorns that you can actually give her a phone call and she will talk to you and get you set up. So Shelley, can you tell everybody how to reach you directly? If you're running a compliance department in any way, you need to talk to Shelley. So Shelley, how do they reach you?
I'm really down home and ready to talk to anybody 24 hours a day. I am Pacific time, but we're here to work. And so the number to reach me at is 562-498-2218. And I like to give that to you because I can pick up the phone. You won't get a phone bank back in China. I'm here to help you sit and drink some coffee and talk about what's important.
Well, and Shelley, I'm just making my final plug for you today. Again, 562-498-2218. Shelley picked up her phone and she's a really collaborative partner. You know, a lot of people in sales, they worry like, oh, compliance. And compliance is just part of the game that we're in. And working with a collaborative partner like Shelley to learn how to do what you need to do in a compliant manner has been an amazing experience for me. And I can't highly recommend her more. So, Shelley, you are awesome. And I hope to send everybody your direction.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So, Shelley, I know we're going to introduce you doing a PowerPoint presentation that you'll speak to. And the reason that I asked you to come on today is I'm hearing a lot of misinformation in our industry, particularly related to disclaimers for this year's open enrollment. So it's kind of one of those things that was in the guidance, and people are taking minimalist and extremist views of what to do in this situation. And I thought just having an expert like yourself come on and join us and clarify all those important points would be super helpful across the board. And I'm really excited that you agreed to come join us today. So are you okay, Shelley, if I tee up your presentation and have you jump in and get started?
That would be perfect.
All right. So like magic, it'll appear on the screen. And I'm going to turn it over to Shelley a little bit here just to talk through her presentation. And I'll rejoin when I have questions.
Oops, perfect.
Hang on a sec, Shelley.
No problem. So I'm going to start with, of course, the bad news first, because then we get to the good news, is understanding the foundation for all this. You know, CMS has always done different kinds of actions, you know, compliance actions, suspension of enrollment, suspension, unfortunately, about enrollment and marketing, and even terminations. From 2017 to March 22nd of 22, there were actually only one organization was terminated. So we're talking about carriers. But there have been a total of 76 total actions. But CMS, that just is to show you, CMS is not about big brother, I'm coming to close you down, but they're into making sure everybody understands and can identify what needs to get done and do their best to getting it done. And that's what Erin does great with all of her clients, is making sure that we can totally help the beneficiary, because that's what it's about. And the long word, it's not about getting terminated. It's about being able to identify what is required and doing it right. And if not being able to, reach out to get help to understand what I really need to do. And it's kind of like a rumor mill. Everybody has their own interpretation of different things and what required. It's regulations. And so everybody wants to interpret the regulations in a whole different way. There's a regulation with 5 people, 10 people have different ideas about what it means. So again, just to start with the bottom or the end in mind, you're not going to get terminated. It's basically, this is all about making it easier for the beneficiary and for you in knowing what's required. Let's see if I can change the screen.
Are you able to advance there?
Let's see, I think so.
Okay,
there
perfect.
we go. So essentially next, I have a couple slides that show, and if you could see the grid, Erin, are you seeing that?
I can.
Oh, good. So this just shows, again, a little bit about the intent from CMS, that in open enrollment, beneficiaries get a lot of phone calls, mailings, emails, advertisements. So CMS started this disclosures and all the new requirements because they know everybody's getting bombarded. And they want to make sure when you're talking to a beneficiary that you're talking specifically to what they need and not everything you provide, because that, in a sense, is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for us, but it's totally overwhelming for the beneficiary trying to understand and get bombarded. You know, they usually end up with a foot worth of marketing material, and to go through everything and understand it, it's pretty much impossible. And that can lead, just by getting bombarded, that can lead to confusion, sales allegations. We're totally part of the business, but it's easy not to by providing specific information. I'm going to go through just a quick of these slides and end up with the bottom line, which is it all rolls downhill. So when there's confusion out there, with CMS giving us a little bit of confusion, and then to the beneficiary, there's tons of communication. And the more that we communicate, the more that we can proactively help our beneficiaries, the more that everything will work out and we can enroll beneficiaries in the best plan for them. This is also, again, just to explain that CMS is proactively reviewing everything so they can get a handle on how to do this better. So CMS is going to start doing the secret shoppers, and we'll see some reports coming out. And also, mostly, all those TV ads that seem to be confusing, telling people, beneficiaries, to call in about benefits, And then when they call talking about maybe Med Sup instead of Medicare Advantage, because again, it's not that if somebody is trying to sell something bait and switch, it's just overwhelming with all the information of what's best for the individual client, and to review the television ads and actually call those numbers now, CMS will be able to tell a little bit more about what's happening. We got to remember that there's 20% of people maybe doing it the wrong way and 80% of us doing it the right way. So this is not about CMS trying to blame everybody. They're just trying to find out how they can help and present everything a little bit better.
So, Shelley, I just wanted to touch on this for a second, just kind of emphasize your point. So, first of all, if you're a Medicare beneficiary listening to this podcast or live show that we're doing here, that we're broadcasting out, a couple things. Number one is Medicare is doing this to try to protect you as a Medicare beneficiary. So, when we're calling you out, Medicare beneficiaries, and it says this call is being recorded for compliance, or we're reading a disclaimer to you, we're doing that to comply. And the reason we're complying is Medicare is making this rules to protect you. So that's what's happening. Because some of my clients are saying, well, why are you saying all that? Like, just get to it. And it's because we need to follow these rules and be compliant. And then for agents and brokers out there that are listening, if you're doing the right thing all the time, you don't have anything to worry about. Just do your thing, figure out the rules, make it part of what you do so you don't have to remember it. It's just part of your process. And just realize that it's been a few years since Medicare has done secret shoppers at sales events or compliance events. They're going to be doing that. Now, that's not something to be afraid of. Just consistently do what you're doing in the right way, and you're going to be just fine. And if they do audit you, you're going to get a report of high fives, right? You've done a good job. So don't worry about it. Just set up your business to do everything in a compliant manner on a regular basis, and you don't have anything to worry about. So, Shelley, I just wanted to emphasize that because I don't think we have anything to worry about. It's for a good cause.
Absolutely. The intent is right, and helping the beneficiary get what they need and have the benefits is the ultimate goal. And that's what we need to concentrate. If you want, Segal Medicare experts can come do any kind of audit so you can have any identified issues before CMS finds them. We're here to help you make it easier and to help understand. So we can definitely do that. There is the final rule, which is came out with these new regulations. And there are a lot of different parts to the regulation about health equity and star ratings, but there's a ton that impacts brokers and agents, and that's about protecting the beneficiary. It's the marketing requirements. And so CMS did add some more work for us to do, but in their mind, it is to help make things clearer. And I think it does. It not only it protects the beneficiary, it protects you. For instance, when you're recording a call and somebody calls and says, well, they call CMS and say, I was never told that. You have black and white a video or even audio of exactly what you said. And so it protects you. It's covering what you did. And as long as you go through all the requirements, everything is fine, as Erin said. In the training that is provided for brokers and agents, essentially it tells you everything that you need to say. So you can take that and develop a checklist so that you make sure you go over all the points, which helps the beneficiary understand it. And it's in the recording. So you have documentation. And CMS basically has this statement. They say if it's not documented, it's not done. Well, the recording now provides that documentation. And I think it also helps because a lot of times you've gone over it 16 times today. On the 17th time, you might forget saying something. So having that checklist where you can go through and say, yes, 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 the beneficiary understood, they know what the plan is, they know the benefits, they know the doctors in the plan, they know the prescriptions are covered. And so you remember, because I don't remember what I had for breakfast today, let alone how many times I said what on the telephone call. So it really is a protection for you as well as a broker agent. And it's great to remember that.
So one thing here, Shelley, before we move on, I just want to do another public service announcement for the group. So when you speak of checklists, right, it can be confusing. What do I need to cover? What do I need to review? So I did contract with Shelley's team, Segal Medicare. I can't remember the word Medicare, Shelley. Segal Medicare experts, and they actually developed a checklist, and I've released that to my agents. Have a printed off copy, use it every time, and you're always going to be selling in a compliant manner. Just make it easy on yourself. To do the right thing all the time and making compliance part of your culture. So Shelley, thank you to you and your team to keeping it simple for us and providing that tool for my agents. I appreciate it.
So we love making it easy, and it's fun to either have it in any easy way, a Word document, or you can actually have it as a form and have everybody, check every box and have that and keep it for your documentation. So that will happily happen. Just wanted to also say when these new regulations apply, they apply to all third-party marketing organizations. So that's anybody that's involved in the enrollment marketing aspect. The marketing people, advertisement, brokers, agents, even if somebody is doing ads for you or sending out flyers, everybody's included in these requirements. So it's not just a broker or agent. Erin, as her company, has to be compliant. A broker, her brokers and agent downstreams have to be compliant. Health plans, carriers have to be compliant. Advertisement. So we're all in this together. And that makes it a little bit harder because we all have different ideas of how to make it easy. But essentially, we got to remember we're all in this together.
100%. And Shelley, just for everybody's benefit, I'll be doing these poll questions on my YouTube. And the answer to that question was true. It applies to all of us, right? So want to make sure when you're thinking about it later, you can pass the quiz. Go ahead, Shelley.
Good addition. Here's just a visual. I'm a visual person. I like to see everything. And this kind of shows you the new definition of a third-party marketing organization. So it's like Erin's company, a kind of field marketing organization or entity that contracts with brokers and agents and downstream. So the first tier entity is included in these requirements. The downstream, any kind of related entity like a sales call center, a lead generation, if they're owned by the FMO or even contracted. And then the kicker is all other entities. So sales representative, if Erin hires her cousin to go ahead and do some telemarketing and answer leads, they're covered by these requirements as well. So anybody touching this, and it is great because I want to say misery loves company, but that's not the best slogan. We're all in this together, so it kind of makes it easier. We're all doing the same thing. And by the way, this visual was sent to CMS and saying, are you sure we're really understanding everybody who's included? Because this is everybody that ever touches a beneficiary in the sense of sales and enrollment. And their quote was, this is spot on. So we know we have the right visual. I think the person who answered must be from England. It's not definitely something for California we use, but. And so again, we're talking about marketing requirements, and here's some basic ones. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to make sure that the whole bottom line is requiring everybody to explain what's on that checklist so that everybody understands it. And then also, when you get someone who fills out a scope of appointment, to basically understand that the scope of appointment is valid now for 12 months, so that if somebody filled it out last month, you got 11 more months you can contact them. So CMS put a time frame because everybody was saying, is this good for one and done, or can I do it for 2 weeks, or what is the cutoff time? So the 12 months is a really good thing because, sometimes beneficiaries might take a year to figure out, do they want Med Sup? Is that right for them? Do you want Medicare Advantage? And after getting the ton of beneficiary information with EOCs, evidence of coverage, summary of benefits, TV ads, it might take a year to go through it and know what they feel comfortable with. I go and help. Sometimes I have my neighbor come and knock on the door and say, okay, my aunt is ready to enroll. What should she do? And they bring over the foot of material and all the sticky notes that they go, well, this says this one, and this says it's $20, and I don't know if I need this. And so we go through it, and sometimes I get a little disappointed because I figure I'm giving all the information, and I expect after 20 minutes for them to go, okay, I know this is exactly what I need. But some have taken 6 months to decide, well, Medicare Sup is actually a better thing for me because I travel a lot, and I have these doctors that I really want to see, and they're usually not part of any kind of health maintenance organization or MSA. And so this is really what I need to go at this point. So it does take time, and now CMS has put it in black and white. You got 12 months to work with the person on the scope of appointment that they signed.
Remember, Shelley, can I ask that in a clarifying way? So
sure.
Let's say, for example, a beneficiary says they want to discuss all their Part D and Medicare Advantage options with me, and I get a scope of appointment signed, and we meet on October 12th, today. We meet on that presentation, and then they don't decide, they don't buy, but then they want to meet with me again. Getting some background music there.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. And let's say instead they say, can we meet again, Erin, on November 15th? And I say, sure, let me meet with you again on that date. Just to clarify, I don't have to get a new scope of appointment if we're discussing the same products, do I?
That's correct. You're absolutely 100% correct. So if they wanted to talk more, though, about Medicare Sup, that's a whole different ballgame. Dodgers and the Angels. So that scope of appointment to talk about Medicare Advantage, you can continue talking to them. They can call you back and they don't need a new scope of appointment. Just continue the conversation so you help them make the best decision.
So, Shelley, I think just for the audience that's listening, this is a very important point of clarification because I'm on a lot of forums where I see people saying, hey, if they don't buy on the first appointment and you need to have a follow up appointment or a subsequent appointment, you need to get a new scope. And what you're saying is that, sure, if I'm talking about new products that I didn't discuss in the first meeting, sure, I need a new scope. But if I'm still continuing to discuss the same subset of products, a new scope is not required.
Perfect. You got it.
Okay, I can do this. I can do Medicare plans. I got it. Thanks, Shelley. Keep us rolling.
So the other thing is if beneficiaries go to a marketing or to a educational event and you talk to someone, but essentially they can also do can't do a sales education at the same time or within 12 hours is the regulation, which CMS is kind of funny. It's not like a beneficiary is going to come at 9 o'clock in the morning to hear about the A, B, C, D that Erin could provide, and then come back 12 hours later at 9 p.m. to enroll.
That's what I do all my seminars, Shelley, 901.
Yeah. And am I losing my?
You're perfect. You're good.
Okay. And so essentially, they're just trying to make it so it's different days. And don't worry about the 12 hours. They're making it different days so that somebody has a chance to digest all the education and then enroll after that. It's important also that there's a disclaimer that's required, and everybody goes through that disclaimer. They recently added the SHIP, which is the State Assistance Program, be added, so beneficiaries or can reach out to them or Medicare. I think that gives CNS an idea that if the answer is not clear, they have another place to call. But we know you're the best, you're the one who's doing it 24 hours a day, and so you really have the best answer for them, but they always have a plan B. Were you going to add something that, Erin?
No, you're great. Continue. It's the next one that I think I'm going to have a clarifying question on, but we'll see about the 48-hour rule.
Really quick.
So talk us through on the 48-hour rule, Shelley.
Erin, can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay. I'm having still some problems hearing you. I love these different things, but I'm going to continue on for a little bit.
You're fine, Shelley. Keep going and we'll cut this part out.
The one thing that everybody asks also about the scope of appointment is I have to wait 48 hours once you get signed to then talk to the beneficiary and then schedule the appointment. And that's not necessarily true. The scope of appointment 48-hour rule is only for marketing appointments. So somebody calls and said, I spoke to Shelley, she's my next door neighbor. She gave me all the information and now I would like to enroll. Can you help me with that? You can definitely do that. You don't have to wait 48 hours after you talk to them. But if they wanted to go ahead and schedule an appointment, you could do the scope of appointment over the phone, get that signed and recorded, and then meet with them in 2 days from now or 3 days from now, where we know it's the 15th on Sunday and your schedule's going to pile up with 12 appointments a day, and so you can schedule them in 2 days later so you're compliant. But remember that scope of appointment is only required for the marketing meetings that you have with someone.
Right. So Shelley, let me just do a point of clarification.
Erin, can you go ahead and on so I can get my hearing back set? So hold on a second. But if you can continue.
You got it. So I was going to provide a point of clarification on the 48-hour rule, just to make sure it's clear. If you receive an inbound call or someone comes in for a one-on-one appointment, what you do not need to wait 2 days to talk to them. But if it's a marketing appointment that somebody calls in and they're booking in advance with you, then the 48-hour rule is going to apply. And the scopes of appointments can be gotten or received, so to speak, in a couple of ways. With my company, we do a lot of our scope of appointments in Sunfire Matrix, which is our enrollment tool. They can be sent to beneficiaries electronically via email or text, and that's working great for us. And we're just booking them 2 days out. The other thing is if you're with a beneficiary who can't sign the scope electronically, they're requiring an in-person appointment. We have gotten an approved script for doing verbal scopes as long as you're recording it over the phone to save in the beneficiary record. So if anybody needs that, you can reach out to me. That's a tool that's been provided to me by the health plan. So if needed, we can actually record a scope of appointment. Most of them are done electronically, but again, verbal is possible. And just to remind people again, if somebody calls you inbound or comes into your office and wants help, you can help them right away. And you would just note that that's why you didn't get the scope of appointment 48 hours in advance. So Shelley, are those all true statements?
Yep, absolutely. And
Okay.
then also to remember at the end of that enrollment period, this enrollment period is from the 15th on Sunday to December 7th, and those enrollments would be effective January 1st. If somebody walks in and it's December 7th, there's no way you need to fill out a scope of appointment and wait 48 hours, because then you miss the election period. So it does not apply when it's the end of the period as well. So keep that in mind. And it's of course your busiest time, but you don't have to wait.
Thank you so much.
And so just a little bit more about ensuring that protection plan activities and brokers and agents, they make sure that they're explaining the plan benefits in an appropriate way. And that you have a summary of benefits from every plan. They're kind of consistent because CMS does require certain things to be at the same place. So that you open one document, you're going to find the other one close to it. But essentially, you have documents online to make it consistent. And CMS just put that in the regulations.
Let's talk about your Medicare coverage. Scan Health Plan is for people with Medicare, and that's their sole focus. They're known for their award-winning service, and that's really what sets them apart. Scan has the comprehensive all-in-one coverage you need, plus the extra benefits that might surprise you, and the exceptional service that you deserve. It's time for a better Medicare Advantage experience. To learn more about SCAN, please visit scanhealthplan.com or ask about SCAN from your local agent or broker. Thank you.
The other thing that's really big is requiring that organizations and Part D sponsors have an oversight plan that monitors agents and brokers. And I know all the FMOs, Erin, you get also different kinds of audits from carriers, and you have to fill out the questionnaire of everything you do and are you compliant. So remember that Segal Medicare experts, I like to say SME, because there's the subject matter expertise. We can help you complete those questionnaires. And if there's anything you're missing, we can help you create the policies and procedures or the compliance program so that you have that in black and white and can meet the compliance requirements for what the carriers, when Cal Optima or Scan Health Plan come out to audit, then you have all the documents you need. This is just a quick slide to show Erin's structure. Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about what this represents?
Yeah, so a lot of people wonder, how does this all work, right? So a lot of agents and brokers out there in particular, sometimes people are contracting individually directly with the carriers, and sometimes they're doing it through sort of an upline. So just as a reminder, the rules apply to you no matter how you're contracted with the various carriers. So that's sort of the number one. But this is more of a benefit, I think, to working with an upline than ever before, because we're going to help you be compliant, right? We're going to provide you with the tools to be able to make sure you're selling in a compliant manner out there. And compliance really is funneled through all of them. But just to remind everybody how the structure works is you have your regular agent and broker that's out there helping the beneficiaries. Sometimes agents and brokers are contracting directly, but more commonly they're doing it through an upline support system. So at Blackpoint Insurance, I'm sort of that first layer up. I'm what you call a managing general agency. The reason I like to operate at that level is it's very hands-on with all of the agents and brokers. I'm providing direct training, product and carrier support, figuring out your strategy, supporting you every step of the way. I'm the one that's going to make sure you have the tools you need to sell in this compliant manner. If you're not working with someone and this is all confusing to you, I suggest getting connected. If you already have a partner like that and it's working well for you, amazing. The next level up is the field marketing organization level, which for me, I work under an umbrella called Van Berg and Associates in most states. That's kind of how it works. And Van Berg provides us all kinds of additional tools. So they provide us compliance tools as well, but they also help us with compliant tools. So things like Sunfire Matrix that allow us to do Medicare Advantage and prescription drug enrollments and compliance scope of appointments, allows for call recording. All of that is under one tool that they provide to agents that work with us free of charge. Amazing. It's such a great support system. So if you're out there trying to find an online thing to record this on your cell phone, which a lot of you are, you can tap into a resource like Van Berg and Associates and Blackpoint Insurance. We can help support you navigate with these proper tools. And then what happens is when you go under that umbrella, we contract with all of the different various insurance carriers so you can deliver the product out there to the Medicare beneficiaries. Now, there's lots of myths out there about FMOs and uplines and that kind of thing. And the reason that there's myths is because they're not all created equal, right? And so when you work with our umbrella, what I can assure you is your business is your own, right? You're going to get paid 100% commission when working with us. And the insurance companies provide incentive for us to help you and pay for our services and support. So you're never going to lose anything. You're only going to gain by working with an upline partner. And it's never been more important, I believe, Shelley, now to have that added support to be able to sell in a compliant manner. Because imagine every single agent figuring out how to comply and how to record their calls and what to use for disclaimer. It's much easier to tap into resources that have employees that are working on nothing but this to provide that support to individual agents and brokers.
Thank you. That makes it clearer. So this is also just some challenges that Erin and her team and others have come across. Do you want to go through a couple of those, Erin?
I do. And then Shelley, maybe you can provide your guidance as we go through these various topics. So one of the big things that's come up is these new compliance disclaimers. And the disclaimer goes something like this. We represent X number of carriers that have X number of plans in your area. You can always call 1-800-Medicare, go to medicare.gov, or contact your local state health insurance your SHIP. Shelley, help me with the SHIP. I got to get my disclaimer in front of me before I try to read it for help with your Medicare options. You have to say it now within 30 seconds of any phone call, and it's got to be recorded. And it needs to be on any email out there that goes out to anybody when you're having any kind of what I call a selling conversation, or Shelley would probably call it a marketing conversation. So it's about the plan. And this has presented a lot of challenges because people haven't known how to do it, right? And so what I can tell people is what my experience has been, because now since Shelley and I kind of created these challenges, we're in full mode, we're in game mode, we're doing it. And so one of the biggest things is that it's hard for people to know how many plans they offer in a given area, right? Because you have to have the number of PDP products, you have to have the number of special needs plans, and the number of Medicare Advantage plans, and you have to know their carriers. And so what we've chosen to do at Blackpoint Insurance is we created a disclaimer tool, essentially a spreadsheet that tells us by county how many plans we offer. And also we created a grid that shows us what we don't offer. And what we did is we provided that tool, Shelley, to all of our agents to say, okay, here's what ours is, and here's the ones we don't offer. If yours match, then you can use that disclaimer on a by county basis. If yours are different, then you're going to need to adjust your spreadsheet to accommodate your needs. And I have to tell you, Shelley, I was a little bit on the freak out zone of creating this originally, but I was surprised that I was able to easily create it by using the landscape file that Medicare provides. I was able to go through that and figure it out by area. But I will say that, so I feel like we've got it now, Shelley. We're good, and we have a tool for our agent. But what I can tell you is that there's a lot of questions around the interpretation of what area means. And what the area is. And I thought maybe you could provide your guidance on what area means in the eyes of CMS so that agents and brokers out there know how to be providing this in a compliant manner.
Absolutely. And in the disclaimer, first when CMS issued it, they called it, you had to tell how many products. And that was also confusing because people were like, okay, a product is a HMO or MSA or PPO. And CMS really, they just had a typo. It wasn't products. They want you to tell the plans. And again, that goes to knowing exactly what is available, the benefit set or the plan benefits packages that are available to that beneficiary. So it's not how many products, it's how many plans. And essentially, it's by service area is by the plan benefit package. So in California, there's all different sections and counties. And I'm in Los Angeles County. In Los Angeles County, it's like Scan Health Plan. They have like 46 different plans in Los Angeles that have to do with a plan specific to, people with diabetes or people with CHF or people who have Medicare and Medicaid, which we call dual eligibles. So CMS wants you to be able to tell everybody how many plans there are. So it helps them, again, fine tune it down to exactly the best plan for them.
100%. So Shelley, I'm going to just clarify, in order to be able to give this instruction on a PBP level, you really have to give it at a county level. So just want to be really clear because there's PBPs that cross county lines. So if you only work in one county, I guess you never need to change it, but most agents and brokers sell across county lines, across states. And I just want to clarify, I'm going to use an example for everybody, Shelley, and then you can correct me when I don't have my disclaimer memorized. But for Alameda County, California, for instance, how I would read my disclaimer, and you tell me if I'm doing it right, Shelley, correct me wherever I miss a beat. I would say we currently offer 12 carriers that offer 63 plans in your area. You can always contact medicare.gov, 1-800-Medicare, or your local state health insurance program or SHIP for more information. Am I doing it? Okay, good. I'm in there and I'm doing it on a by county basis. And everybody out there who's saying, what, by county? Like, oh my goodness, no way. It's not that bad, okay? Because most of the time when you're talking to a person, you're talking to one person at a time, and you can do this. So one to one, it's pretty simple to do. And I think, Shelley, you're going to provide us guidance on one to many in a moment here, right? So what happens when it's a website or social media or advertising or that type of thing? But one to one, you just have your chart and you have your template ready to go, and you just plug in the number of plans.
And remember, the disclaimer is during a marketing appointment when you're talking to a specific person, so they know what is specifically applies to them. It's kind of like, again, I'm in visuals. When you go onto Medicare.gov, the beneficiaries put in their zip code. And once they put in their zip code, it pops up with all the different plans that are available to them. So CMS feels like if they do it that way, they want all brokers and agents to do it as well. So when you're talking to Sue Smith and she tells you the zip code she's in, and then you can tell her exactly the plans that apply to her because of that zip code. You could also go on to Medicare.gov while they're on the phone with you and hit the zip code in, and you can see all the basic, CMS does the work for you there. You can go, as Erin said, to the landscape file and put together a spreadsheet that makes it easier database for your brokers and agents to just pop up that information. And if you don't have that spreadsheet, we can put it together to you, or you could go to Medicare.gov and hit the zip code in, and you can see the different plans available, and then you know which ones you contract with and who you're working with. So that's another way that you can get that done, and you're compliant.
100%. And I just wanted to add to that, Shelley, I've just realized how easy it is to also get it in Sunfire because all your contracted plans are in Sunfire, which is sort of like a Medicare.gov, but for internal use. And I do encourage everybody to do the spreadsheet mantra, like I'm saying. And the reason that I encourage you to do that, if you haven't already, is remember, if you're phoning someone, within 30 seconds of that start of that phone call, you need to read the disclaimer. So before you call, have your act together and know what your numbers are, right? So that you can communicate that easily. And I have to say, it's been going smoother than I thought it would, Shelley. It's just something new. And, anything new causes anxiety, but it actually works. And I feel like we've been able to do it. So just wanted to let you know how it's going in real time.
And to get that done, training is the answer. The more that we train everyone on the requirements, the changes, the important reminders, and we always say training's not one and done. Everybody is really busy, but it doesn't take long to send out a all hands kind of bulletin to your team and say, remember, here's the disclaimer. If you need help with this landscape file, and remember the scope of appointment is 48 hours, and that does not apply to marketing appointments. And talking about, you can have an educational event. You still can go ahead and do an educational event and talk about the ABCDs so that people have the foundation to understand what you're talking about, and also do the marketing sales campaigns on another day. So remembering those different requirements is sometimes, we're all getting old and it's not easy to remember, but doing the compliance reminders and enrollment tools and having broker portals from carriers and newsletters all go ahead and help get the information at your fingertips. And the more that we do it, I think the easier it becomes. I'm just going to go through the activities again with training. If you need any help with training, give us a call. SME will help you. We can do an oversight training. We can also do training on the different changes so everybody can understand what it is. The thing is key that it has to be done now because the oversight and implementation became effective the end of September. So all the new regulations are doing it now. You have to take action now because they're compliant now. I think CMS understands that it's going to take a while for everybody to get used to it. And so they might not do the auditing and monitoring details, but they're going to start looking at it. And so we are best to get prepared and ready and do it in a compliant manner. And in that, there's also minimum of oversight requirements. And so it's important to, for health plans to have some oversight, but also FMOs to have oversight your brokers agents. And I think the more that you do training, individual training, a group call, a go-to meeting where you spend 10 minutes going over, talking with everybody to see if there's any questions. And I like that team approach because the more that you work as a team, everybody has different questions. And like I'm going over these slides, but you might have different questions to ask. And so I like doing that team approach because somebody's question is going to make another question pop up in your head. And I was talking to Erin just the other day, and it's once you have a questions and it goes down a week from now, you have a whole new set of questions. It's like, I didn't think about this, and can we ask CMS this? And we're more than happy to send questions of clarification to CMS. If we don't have the answer, we're going to ask CMS for the answer.
100%.
So it's also important to collaborate. Remember that sales teams with compliance, you basically want to collaborate together. There are going to be some requirements to reporting sales allegations to CMS. So that's a new requirement. And CMS hasn't even defined what a sales allegation is and what has to be reported. So that's all CMS work in progress and more coming to. And those training classes will be helpful when CMS decides what they want to do. Then essentially we'll have more information about what needs to be reported to CMS. The other thing CMS is requiring to be reported is everyone you contract with. So like Erin and all her contracts will need to be reported probably to the carrier, and then that will be reported to CMS. But that all has to be defined and hasn't been defined yet. So in the sense of crystal ball, my crystal ball is a little bit clearer now as time goes on. And that essentially is that it's important to do oversight. Again, we can help with that. If you work with an FMO and upstream, they can help with that. It's important to remember that you can't do educational marketing at the same time because that's too confusing. It's confusing for us, let alone a beneficiary who's learning. It's also now marketing materials are thinking about putting on all your marketing materials, not only disclaimers, but how to grieve or complain or appeal. And CMS wants everybody to have an option B to get more information to make the best decision. Also, the requirement now for all to have essentially CMS requirements to have oversight. And there's more coming soon, and hopefully we'll have, once CMS starts making secret shopping calls, it's a great way to start letting everyone know. We kind of announce it on LinkedIn. If you follow either Erin or follow Segal Medicare Experts, you'll see that when CMS is starting to do different kinds of oversight, which will make it easier for you to have a clear reading in your crystal ball. So those are the slides, and hopefully those provided some good information.
Oh, Shelley, this was awesome. And I just had a couple clarifying questions, okay? And so we talked a lot about the one-to-one and particularly about the disclaimer, which is the biggest change for this year. Just reminding everybody, calls were required to be recorded starting last year. You have to store those for at least 10 years in a compliant manner and be prepared to provide them to CMS in the event of an audit. That's a tool that we have available through Blackpoint and Bamberg, or you may have it through your existing upline. Super, super important. The disclaimer stuff is not going away. It's a by county basis as you're having a one-to-one sales conversation, either emailing about a sales potential or having a live conversation where we have to say that disclaimer within 30 seconds. Your partner should be able to provide a tool like I've provided to my agents that show us the number of carriers on a county level basis and the plans that we're with. But Shelley, one of the biggest things that I'm seeing out there on the rumor mill, right, because that's where we are right now, is what are we supposed to be putting on our websites? What are we supposed to be putting when we do social media like I do? I'm constantly publishing social media. What's the requirement there in terms of the disclaimer?
That's a great question. And people are putting together general comments. That disclaimer, again, is when you're talking to individuals during marketing. So you obviously in a website or in internet marketing, you can't put everyone that you contract with. But you can put a general statement if you want to, makes it easier, and let people know that when they contact you, you can essentially give them the specific information that applies to them. And so that, when it's a one-to-one, it's easier to provide that information. And providing that general disclaimer on the internet, your webpage, helps. It's not required, 100%. But it helps clarify.
Right. So just so you know, Shelley, this is what I'm envisioning for my website that I was going to put on there is I have a contact me if people want more information. And I thought it would be good at the bottom of it just to say, we work with certain plans in our area. As soon as you contact us and we know more about you, we'll let you know exactly who we offer, and then just give them the guidance that they could always call 1-800-Medicare, Medicare.gov, or their SHIP if they needed to. And I know that's probably a little above and beyond, but does that sound about spot on of what you would think is a good best practice?
So the other thing just to go through is we did have a call and we got a lot of answers from CMS. And I'm going to see if I can share that document. Let's see if it works in my
Looks like it's happening here. I'm adding it to the stage.
And so we can send this to you. If you give me a call at 562-498-2218, we'd be happy to share the marketing rules and the comments that CMS provided. And they got some clarification in the sense of the broker agent training. We talked about the checklist. And like you can see in the broker agent training question topic, we asked CMS to clarify, because in the regulations they said there are 18 different elements that you need to cover. And we were looking and searching and doing scavenger hunts for those 18 things. It turns out they just picked a number out of the hat to say 18. Today we're talking about section 4, the training, and that's what we developed the checklist for. And essentially that section 4 has all the requirements, and the requirements are not just what you need. If you just covered the requirements, you're compliant, but of course there is so much more information that you need to provide. And we got questions from CMS, and we talked about earlier about the service area for the disclaimer, and they did say basically you could say in your area or put the county. And so we did get these answers, and we can send them to you that have the CMS answers, and we'll continue gathering this. We got one question about who at CMS is answering our questions. CMS does have email boxes so that you can send it, and sometimes they're a little bit slow. Today I just got an answer that I sent a month ago. They're a little overwhelmed as well, but eventually we do get the answer, and so we just kind of do the keep calling and keep emailing, and we can do that for everyone. Everyone has the same question, so that's why we started creating this document, so that essentially it has everybody's questions and answers. And we'd be happy to send this to you if you give us a call.
Thanks, Shelley. And would you mind sending this me again? Because I'll just post it out on my site as well and make sure that everybody has it. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Shelley. Well, you've cleared up a lot for me, Shelley. It's amazing always to have you on. We so appreciate your partnership and your collaboration. You're incredible. And just want to clarify for everybody, it's confusing, it's new. It's not as challenging as I thought it was going to be, right? So it's always worse thinking about it than when you put it into action, and it's working. And it's because of people like Shelley who bring a tremendous, let's call it me, level of experience. She's a subject matter expert, and she also owns Segal Medicare Experts. And you guys do an amazing job, Shelley, just providing guidance, keeping us on the right track, being collaborative, understanding we're all the good guys, right? And we're trying to do the right thing for the Medicare beneficiary every time. And I just really appreciate you. And I just thought one more time you could share with people your phone number, speaking for everybody out there who's watching the podcast, so they know how to reach you directly.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking and helping, and it's great to help beneficiaries. It'll help to brokers and agents and carriers to be compliant. Make this easier. I tell you, when you do it day by day, at the end of AEP, you're going to be a pro at disclaimers and providing the information. So I'm looking forward to hearing on the end side of AEP how it went and how we can make things easier for you. We're here to help.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And for those of you listening to the podcast, you can call Shelley Segal directly at area code 562-498-2218. So you heard it here, Shelley, you're incredible. Thanks for all that you do for all of us agents out here. We appreciate you. Have a fantastic day.
All right. Thank you.